There we go. I've been unmuted. Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis, and welcome to Whiskey Business, the podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey, with another very special remote broadcast. Hopefully, those of you who are fans of Whiskey Business have tuned into this week's podcast, which we recorded and got the band back together. In fact, that's what it's called. We're getting the band back together as John Whitney, Greg Hansberry, and myself recorded out in the infamous backyard bar here at Whiskey Business Studios, The Pond. That is available for you as we speak. We decided just to record that one and get the band back together like we used to in the old days. Remember the old days? But then we decided to go and do another remote podcast, not because so much of the stay at home, which has expired, but because it was easier and more convenient and the best way to get this magnificent program together for a really great charity this evening. We are here tonight. Whiskey Business is very pleased to be here tonight on behalf of a charity called A Kid Again, which you will be able to donate to this evening. You can see that in the link in the description below. Check that out. And we chose tonight to do it because the Big Give, with their $1.5 million to amplify donations for nonprofit organizations like A Kid Again. You're asking yourself, why I'm not familiar with A Kid Again. A Kid Again is a local organization right here in Columbus, Ohio. What it does, it does things for families caring for a child with life-threatening illnesses to help them feel normal again with shared experiences. A Kid Again will put together days at the zoo, days at Zumbizi Bay, Kings Island, hockey games, crew games, just to name a few. And you're saying, none of those things are available right now, but they will be. And A Kid Again will start doing them again. But in the meantime, they didn't let a quarantine get in the way. They had Adventures in a Box where parents could get in their cars and they could actually drive through a parade of jugglers and DJs and mascots from teams, all leading to this Adventures in a Box, which the parents would pick up and share with their kid. What is the success rate of this organization? Oh my gosh. If you look at some of the results, like they're in the 90 percentile as far as changing the attitude and the demeanor of that family and the joy that those moments bring. I mean, for those of you who are tuning in right now, for those of you with healthy kids, and for those of you who remember being a kid, that's the most incredible time in our lives. That's our chance at joy and innocence. And for any kid to have that robbed and taken away from them is just a shame. So that's why A Kid Again is so very, very important to join in with this evening. And I want to thank Sarah Miller, who's on the board of A Kid Again, who actually proposed this to us to ask if Whiskey Business would come on board and try to do our part. And we all unanimously said yes. And to all the people on the board of A Kid Again, thank you for signing off on letting 3 whiskey sots take care of your charity this evening. So thank you so much. Speaking of said whiskey sots, let me bring in the crew that I could not do this without. Greg Hansberry on the audio. So,
look, I got little Mabel here. She's not a sot yet.
No, Mabel.
Can you wave me?
Hi, Mabel. How are you?
How are you? Good. Yeah, the one thing I haven't ruined yet, you guys.
Yeah, not yet. Well, not yet. All right.
Plenty time.
And now I totally expect to see John Whitney's 21-year-old son sitting on his knee as well. John Whitney, the video producer on this.
Oh, yeah, that would happen. Yes.
Matching outfits.
He loves to fight me too, so it'll be really weird. It's almost like my 21-year-old twin.
Okay, all right, say goodbye. It's time for Mabel's bedtime.
All right, Mabel. Sweet dreams, baby.
Sweet dreams. No nightmares of us three sots.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen, as always, for being a part of things. Tonight, we have a very special show. And tonight, the content will be all about kids from two great comedic performers who we'll meet here in just a moment. Sarah Boosh is with us with her two children. Well, they won't be on the podcast necessarily, but her 2-year-old and her 3.5-year-old. And Sarah's been with us before on The Premise, and a frequent flyer on Whiskey Business and The Premise both. Bobbie Dodds is with us. He has a 6 and a 7-year-old at home and a 16-year-old who's no longer at the house. But Bobbie, both of them have, I'm sure, many perspectives on children, raising them, having raised them, where they're at now, where they've been. They'll share some moments from their childhoods as well as we will, because tonight, parents, all of you parents listening from A Kid Again, this show tonight is all about kids. The kids we have now, the kids that we were then, and that's where all the humor is going to be coming from this evening. What we call sit down, stand up comedy special, comedy on the rocks. Comedy on the rocks infers that we need a drink as well. And Jesse Hubbard.
Wait, hold on, let me do this first real quick.
Oh, you want to do the business first?
Come on, you're blowing through the best part.
I get so excited about everything. I always forget about the business because I want to get
I'm excited about drinking too.
We need the business. We need the business. Do the business.
Welcome to Whiskey Business. If you're new to Whiskey Business, thank you very much. Please subscribe in your favorite podcasting app, including iHeart, Spotify, iTunes. We have an archive of like 3 or 4 years of this fun stuff. Dino likes to say everything from A to Z. We've had an astrophysicist to people that like zoos. I don't know. But subscribe and rate and review us when you're there, because that helps our numbers and helps other people find what we're trying to do here in the community. If you're watching on Facebook right now, thank you very much. If you're not subscribing, go ahead and like us and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. We have a YouTube channel where you can watch all the unedited Whiskey Business podcasts. Hit subscribe there, and you can click on the little bell to get notifications whenever a new Whiskey Business episode drops. WhiskeyBusinessPod.com is the website where all of the Whiskey Business nonsense gathers. You can find our short videos, Dino's blogs. What else? Twitter, Instagram, and I think this episode we're on Disney Plus. I think they made a special.
Yeah, really? We're bumping the Mandalorian.
I think I saw our icon right next to the Mandalorian on the menu, so that's awesome.
So Disney Plus.
I mentioned our very special guest, Sarah Boosh, Bobbie Dodds. And bartender extraordinary Jesse Hubbard will be joining us to make a very special cocktail for you parents tonight. The recipe has been put out there. Maybe some of you got aggressive and went ahead and got the ingredients. I know Hansberry and Whitney did. They'll be making the cocktail along with Jesse. For those of you who are just joining us in the moment, and Johnny, get that video ready to go here. For those of you who are just joining us, we are here tonight for a very special reason. The local charity is called A Kid Again, which helps families that are caring for a child with life-threatening illnesses, making them feel normal again with shared family experiences. You know what? I could tell you about it, but whenever you can show it, it's so much better. Johnny, let her rip.
Melody was past her due date, which seemed to be a normal thing. The doctors told us not to worry too much.
They told us everything looked good. Everything was perfect with my pregnancy. We had no issues, nothing.
And then when she was born, she was a perfect little girl, and we took her home. She was just fine. She was eating a lot. And then the day after Christmas, my wife got a call from our pediatrician about newborn screening coming back.
Her pediatrician called and said that Melody had cystic fibrosis. I didn't even know what it was. I just remember calling Dustin and telling him, "You have to come home. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what this means." looking at her, you would never know. She's beautiful. You would never know what she does every single day, what we do every day. She's almost 3 years old, and she does about an hour and a half of treatments a day, and on top of other medicines that she does.
This is a disease that's very serious. I'm just so grateful that we're in this time period right now where she has the ability to have treatments and medications like this to save her life and prolong it as long as it can.
When I first heard about A Kid Again, I remember just reading to Dustin and looking at the website and telling him, like, look at what they do for Melody, for us, just to make us happy and have us feel connected.
This organization is able to give us those days where it's nice to have a break. It's nice to see Melody so happy. It's good to just see her be a kid, like a normal kid that just gets to go and play at a water park for a day. We're really organized people, so we know how important that is to us, and to be able to see that applied into how A Kid Again structures these events is really nice. To be able to have a full day completely set aside with absolutely every detail organized by A Kid Again the way that we would need it to be. It's nice to be around people that work as hard as Melody. All these kids, they're amazing.
It is something that we look forward to when we're doing Melody's treatments and she's going through this. It's something that we can, tell her and remind ourselves that we have these events with A Kid Again coming up, and it's something that we look forward to.
It means so much to us, and it means a lot to Melody. She might not be able to vocalize it yet, but she will someday.
And that's what you're here for tonight. A Kid Again. That was some pretty amazing video. $35. They said at the other, no donation is too small, but $35 allows one kid to attend an adventure. $130 allows for the whole family. No donation too small, but all those monies, and you can see the link in the description below if you feel like donating or are compelled to donate this evening. By all means, we're doing this tonight because the big give is also in effect as we speak, as we try to amplify that donation with the $1.5 million that they have on hand for nonprofit organizations, much like A Kid Again. So thank you. We'll share some more video a little bit later on in the program, but as compelling and amazing as that video is, we're going to try to back it up with some amazing guests tonight. So without further ado, let's bring in this magnificent trio of performers. And I say performers because Jesse Hubbard is quite the performer behind the bar. The amazing Bobbie Dodds, everybody.
What up?
Talented and amazing Sarah Boosh, who joins us this evening as well. Thank you, all three of you, for being here remotely. Why I would love to be doing this live with all of you. This is the next best thing to it. So before we get to talking with Bobbie and Sarah, I wanted you guys included on this part too, because I don't know if you've ever seen Jesse Hubbard at work. Do you know Jesse? Jesse, his accolades are numerous, but he is one of the best, if not the best, bartender in the city of Columbus. Dare I say, in the United States of America.
He can sling him.
I'm honored.
He can sling it. And
In
Jesse,
the Northern Hemisphere.
in the Northern Hemisphere, in the continental United States of America.
Let's just call it Earth, guys. Let's call it Earth.
You know,
Go for it.
bartending gives me anxiety and it also soothes me at the same time. So this is like a nice little mix of emotions for me. So thank you.
And Jesse has the tonic that ails you. And Jesse, who actually normally broadcasts his own thing on Wednesday nights, bypassed it to join us this evening. So thank you, sir, for your generosity and your time. I appreciate it. And you came up with a very special drink for the parents this evening who are tuning in, and everybody else for that matter. So let's just, without further ado, I know that there's rye whiskey in it, and yes, there is rye whiskey in it. And I won't show you what the guest bottle is. I won't show you what the guest bottle is over here on this end until you do that, because it will Johnny's drinking a little redemption. Hansberry's got all the ingredients to make the cocktail with you. I'll share
I'd
my
vouch
bottle a
it.
little bit later because I don't want to trump the Woodford Reserve rye that's part of this wonderful recipe. Jesse, thank you for being here. Let's get to it, shall we? What are you going to make for us this evening?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me here. I'm super excited to be a part of this today. Some of you may have seen the ingredients ahead of time, but for those of you that maybe didn't get a chance to, we're going to go through those step by step. It's a cocktail that I think encompasses summertime perfectly. When I think of summertime, I think personally watermelon. I love watermelon, and you can never have enough watermelon in your cocktails. So we're going to start with Woodford rye, as Dino alluded to. I chose rye in particular because the spice shines through a little bit through the sweetness.
Oh, yeah.
And the tartness, right?
Yeah.
I just like Woodford. I happen to have this bottle at the house when I was playing around with it. But you can use any rye that you want, guys. I like rye with it, so I would recommend rye.
I have the rye part right here.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I didn't say what it was yet. Go ahead.
See, I feel cool. I got that Simply stuff right there. Just that Simply watermelon from Whole Foods.
Yeah, so I have some of that. It's like the Simply watermelon, and also you can do fresh watermelon juice. Whatever works for you.
Sorry, I'm jumping the gun. Go ahead.
No worries. So I know that not everybody at home may have the tools that we have at a bar. You can use a measuring cup. It's got the ounces on it. I'm going to use what's called a jigger, and it's a measuring tool that we use at every bar. It's going to be 2 ounces on one side and 1 ounce on the other. So we're going to do 2 ounces of the rye, Woodford rye. And we're going to put that right in there. And this is
I like the fact that it's 2 ounces, not 1.5. 2 ounces, baby.
Go big or go home. We're not here to mess around today.
I can't measure 1.5 ounces.
Exactly.
And this is where my anxiety sets in.
Okay, truth be told, just pour the bottle. It's all good.
I'll just put a straw in the whiskey.
A little bit of watermelon juice. The ratios are irrelevant, especially after a couple. It's all good.
That's Dino's type of measuring.
There you go. So we're going to got 4 ounces of the watermelon juice. And we're going to do a simple syrup. It's just sugar and water. This is a rich simple syrup, 2-to-1 ratio. So, I did 2 cups to 1 cup, sugar to water. I like it a little bit thicker because we're going to put some jalapenos in here next. The watermelon juice, while sweet, the real watermelon juice isn't quite sweet enough. So we're going to use a 1/2 ounce of this.
Oh, 1/2 ounce.
It's another half.
Just make it double, Sarah. Make it double, Sarah.
All right.
Bobbie, Bobbie Dodds, are you following along with this recipe?
I'm taking notes, sir. I'm taking notes.
He's been quiet.
Yeah.
Chime in.
I'm learning.
Guys, it's pretty simple. I pre-cut some jalapeno slices, and I'm going to put 4 of those in there. Then we're going to muddle these.
I like this.
I chose 4 jalapeno slices because after a little bit of trial and error, I found that was the right amount of spice to come through. 3 wasn't quite enough. 5 was too hot. Do it to your liking. If you guys want to kick it up a notch, go 5, 6, 7. It's up to you. The beauty of this drink is you can also do it without jalapenos. You can do it without the whiskey if you want to just make a fun, non-alcoholic.
Don't you ever say that again.
I don't know who would
Shame on you. Shame on you, Jesse Hubbard.
That's blasphemy.
I forgot who I was talking to.
It's a family program, sir.
So I'm going to muddle it with one of these. You don't have a muddler. Just use the end of a wooden spoon. You can use anything you got around the house.
Got that, Sarah?
So
I'm literally taking notes as Bobbie is too.
The end of a wooden spoon, a sharp stick, perhaps a mallet of some sort.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stomp on it outside and then.
All right, so
Muddle in.
we're gonna ice it up really good here. Now, when you muddle the jalapenos, you don't want to crush it. You just want to open it up and get the flavor in there.
I knew that.
So shake it. Not everybody has the mixing tins. You can always use a mason jar. Tap it, and that works just fine. There you go, guys.
I feel like John and Greg are just bragging now that they have all the tools.
Yeah, they're very. Sarah, you have no idea how pleased they are with themselves.
I'm looking for stuff I can mime. Like maybe I'll be part of the group. Like, do I got any cups? I got any cups around here?
You have no idea, Sarah, how proud of themselves they are. Go ahead, Jesse.
Special trips during
depending
a
on how hot you
pandemic.
like the cocktail. If you want it spicy, just strain it through one time, and you can get the seeds in the drink. Or you can use another strainer, a mesh strainer, to filter out any of the seeds. So you're not going to have to worry about too much of the heat coming through.
Hey, Jesse, is that going on the rocks or what's in there? Just a straight glass? What are you doing there?
You can do whatever you want. I'm going to put it on one large cube. I like that because it's a sipper.
Yeah.
You can put it over. Crushed ice if you like. That would also be nice. I would recommend putting it over some form of ice.
And
garnish with a little jalapeno slice. And we got ourselves sweet summertime. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everybody.
Did I overdo the garnish?
Water.
You may have overdone the garnish just a tad.
Jesse, I was afraid that those jalapenos would overpower the sweetness, but it's just right.
Yeah, thanks.
It's just right.
That was what I really wanted to kind of pinpoint was you get the heat, but it's a nice balance. I mean, that's the key to any cocktail is having a good balance. So you use the rye because it has the spice a little bit that goes with the jalapeno. The sugar kicks it up, cuts into that a little bit, and then watermelon juice. Now, if you use store-bought watermelon juice, it's going to be a little sweeter, but the beauty of something like this is my recipe. This is what I thought was good. But like I said, you can always adjust it. You want it sweeter, you want it hotter, whatever. You want to go 4 ounces of rye? You can do that.
See, four.
Even numbers.
Even numbers.
Yeah, it's much easier that way, isn't it?
What my brain needs.
So like 3/7 simple syrup.
Yeah.
1 bar spoon of no, I'm just kidding.
Okay. And now I will share the guest bottle for this evening. And Jesse, you're gonna. I don't know if you'll be envious or whatever. I will share this with all of you at some point, but it was in the back. I like to forget that I have this bottle because it is a bottle of Thomas Handy Sazerac straight rye whiskey, barrel proof. Jesse, you know that this is a very expensive bottle.
That's special.
Special bottle. I cannot tell you that I bought this bottle. It was generously given to me as a gift by my brother-in-law, but I can tell you that it retails. Well, I don't think this is the 2018, but it retails for about $475.
Wow, you are really bragging right now.
Yeah, right.
I remember I did when he bought it.
I got this cup full of purified water.
I have a
what that set you back, Bobbie?
I'm sure the ice is unfiltered. But it's great. It's absolutely lovely. Reach for about $1.75. It's delicious.
I'm just saying that I drink it sparingly, and it's not worth that right now. The bottle's open, so the value is gone. It's done.
The value's like $2.50.
As I've told Jesse and the boys as well, everything in this house gets opened up and consumed at some point, no matter how rare or valuable it may be. But that is a beautiful bottle. And you mentioned spice in that one with the jalapenos. This alone has got a beautiful sense of spice to it. Thomas Handy. And Jesse, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was Thomas Handy who actually changed the recipe of the Sazerac cocktail back in 1873 when he was in New Orleans. He decided to change it from, there was some French brandy, and he decided to go with American rye whiskey to make the Sazerac cocktail. And prior to that, the Sazerac cocktail was made with French brandy, and he decided to go this route, and history was made. Is that correct or incorrect, or don't you know?
You are correct, sir. You're certainly not wrong. Thanks for having us all here so you can show off your whiskey selection.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Rub it in.
$400 later.
I didn't do it. It was a gift. It was a gift. I'm sharing.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
I'm just not sharing it literally with all of you.
No,
Since you're all here, I'll tell you about the time I took Karen Becker to prom, too. It was great.
Somebody in the comments mentioned where is the link? Is the link actually showing up to donate? I want to remind people again that we are here for a very special reason tonight. A Kid Again, which takes care of families that are caring for a child with life-threatening illnesses by giving them a return to normalcy by having these great events, taking them to the zoo, to crew games, to hockey games, and making a special day. $35 for a kid, $130 for a family. There's a kidagain.org, and then click the give icon as well. Check that out, and if you can make a donation tonight, we're doing it during the process of the Big Give and taking advantage of their $1.5 million to amplify these donations for nonprofit organizations. So thank you.
The link is in the description, both on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you just
put the comments section right there too.
Yep.
So
and then the comment section as well. Cassie is putting that out there. So check out the comment section as well. So thank you everybody who's decided to make a donation this evening. And before this night is all finished, hopefully more of you will. As I mentioned before, tonight, Jesse, by all means, please hang out. I know you don't have kids, but you got 2 dogs that you consider to be kids at your house, right? Yeah, I've met them. They're wonderful children. They are wonderful children. I've met your dogs. They're beautiful children. But Bobbie and Sarah, you two have children. And, on any given day of the week, month, or year, it would be difficult to raise a child. But especially lately and everything that's been so crazy in 2020, I would imagine that the task becomes even more so. So let's just start right off the bat and tell me, how have you two been with your children in the last 3 months with everything going on? Sarah, you can go first if you want.
I mean, I think I said this before, but to say that I want to run myself over with a tractor would be an understatement. But it's so intense. And then I've been having, Bobbie, I don't know about you, but I've been having a lot of parent guilt because they're only little for so long. So I really want to enjoy that. But sometimes I just need them to shut the fuck up. 5 minutes.
Right.
Let me have 5 minutes of silence in my head, And,
that is a parent.
And they are you have a 2-year-old and a 3.5-year-old. Now, are they both 2-year-old sometimes are speaking, and sometimes the second child waits a while longer to speak because the first child's doing all the talking. So are they both speaking and coming at you with whatever?
Yes, they're both speaking and coming at me, and now they've started to gang up against me. And I'm terrified. Sometimes I feel like I'm in a horror movie where I'm like, they're looking at me. I can feel something's in my presence, and then I turn around and they're there. Or my son likes to come into our bedroom when he wakes up in the morning, and sometimes he'll just stand in the doorway. And then I'll wake up and I'm like, oh my God. I also found out our house is haunted. So, me and a ghost trade off. No, it's not. That was a bad joke. It didn't work.
Well, maybe not. So let's give Bobbie, give Sarah a glimpse into her future, because at home you have a 6 and a 7-year-old, right?
Yeah, I got a 6 and 7-year-old.
It's interesting that you both got very busy quickly. 2 and a 3.5, 6 and a 7. This is like,
well, see, everybody lied to me. Everybody was like, just have the kids, man. You'll make room. It'll be fine. I'm worried about, hey man, I don't think I can afford. Oh, you'll make the money. It'll be fine. So I had mine super early. So hopefully later, I can enjoy my 50s and stuff, and they'll be on their own, doing their own thing. God forbid I'm still raising kids when I'm 60 and 70. That'd be horrible.
Yeah.
That'd be absolutely dreadful. Absolutely.
So what can Sarah look forward to at ages 6 and 7? What kind of glimpse to the future can you give her?
Oh, you're going to be raising professional human beings. They're going to know everything. All that. See, our age. Here's the thing: we had to wait till we were teenagers to say we knew everything. Not these kids. These kids got the internet. They know everything. They're going to be correcting you by the time they're 6 and 7. No lie. They're going to be straight correcting you. Yeah. And tell them the truth too. and being real and being right. And you're like, you know what? I had no idea, and I apologize.
So really, I mean, they actually get to a point where they call you out on something and they're right, and you as a parent have to say,
you know what? As a parent, you ever lie to your kids? Like, can I have this? Can I have this? Yeah, I'll give it to you later. I'll give it to you. At about 6 or 7, they start remembering later. Hold on, man. You said yesterday. Later now, damn it. Don't be later. Yeah, you're right. Okay. And you gotta learn to keep it real with them. If they right, they right. You gotta swallow your pride. You was right. My bad. There go your Skittles, man.
The other thing, when they get that age, Bobbie, you probably know about this. Like, they start embarrassing you. Like when they're little, you dress them up in cute outfits, but man, they start calling you out. My son is 7, and this is the time. This in first grade, they're able to go to get library books for the first time. So he comes home with this library book. It's about these knights in a haunted castle, and the book is called Boogie Nights. So they get Boogie Nights, and we read it at bedtime. Well, a week later, I get an email from the librarian that Boogie Nights has not been returned to the St. Andrew Library. So I have to send an email to the teacher asking if she's seen Boogie Nights around the classroom. She says, no, why don't you ask some of the parents if they got it in their in their book bags and taken it home by mistake. So I have to ask all the parents, by the way, do any of you guys have a copy of my kid's Boogie Nights at home with you?
Wait, I feel like this is a good way to vet people out, to be like, is this a parent that I would like to talk to? Like, you know what I mean? Because there are some parents where you're like, I can't fucking talk to this person. And now my child wants to play with their child, and that's fine. But I refuse to have a relationship with this person. So I feel like maybe that's a good way to like vet out. I can have a conversation with this human.
He lets this kid read X-rated movie books. I like this.
I was gonna say, I'm so thrilled.
Big Burt Reynolds fan.
The Boogie Nights was not a childlike version of the porn industry.
Right.
Nights in a haunted castle. I was bummed.
Greg, it's hard to recover sometimes with rumors like that, man, because we had a video shoot. We had a video shoot at my house when I first moved into the neighborhood 20 years ago or whatever. And it was for greeting cards for adults. And there happened to be like ladies around. And they thought we were shooting porn in our house. All my neighbors thought I was a pornographer. It was the worst.
Hell no.
I'd
have leaned into that shit. Like, yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
The worst.
20 years in the game.
That's Sean Whitney. He's in the porn industry. He's a director.
Yeah,
he's from the Valley.
He's from the Valley. Grove City Valley.
All right, let me attack your memories here for a second, because kids have this wonderful way, because they're so pure of thought and have no filter, as we know. I still remember that. What's one of the funniest things your kids have said here as of recently that just made you just sit back and made you just laugh out loud? It's something that they said or did that was just pure child.
Well, ever since the virus popped off, I don't know if you heard that little, like, they remixed the song, the Cardi B coronavirus is getting real.
Yeah.
Then no matter what's going on, if it comes up, my youngest will say that. Like we'll be out doing something, like we'll be out together at the store or something. And she's like, when the oldest is like, Daddy, can we go to the park? I'm like, baby, you know the park is closed down. We can't go to the park. And then the little one out of nowhere would go, because the coronavirus is getting real. So she'll say it loud as hell. And that's one thing now that she'll just do at random, like it's normal. And I love it. It's funny.
Sarah, anything with the kids?
Both of my children have become obsessed with Ghostbusters, which is one of my favorite movies. So it's been great for me. But my son, we were watching Ghostbusters 2 the other day, and there's a scene where they're all in the courtroom. They're about to get charged, and these ghosts pop up, and the Ghostbusters have to put on their proton packs and save everybody. And they do like a little song when they turn their things on. They go, Do, Re, Egon. And then my son said it in unison with them, and it just made me laugh. But he said Egon, and I felt proud, and
mom.
I was like, oh, I'm doing something right. I'm doing something
Yeah.
right. My son also came up to me. I was telling him to put his shoes away or something, and he came up to me. He goes, "Hey, please stop talking." I was like, okay. And I was caught so off guard that I had to like hide my face. And then my husband was like, "Don't you talk to your mother like that." But it was really funny. I was like, I get it.
Because sometimes they have the ability to just channel an adult moment when they say something like that. Please stop talking. My cousin Maria relayed a story to me with her daughter who was in preschool, and they were on the playground. This is before all the virus stuff had hit, but the teacher had put her on the playground on something that was going a little too fast, apparently for my cousin's daughter. And when the teacher pulled the kid out of the ride, my cousin's daughter just looked at her and said, "What the fuck, Mrs. Reynolds? What the fuck?" Why is it when kids curse, it's like you don't want to laugh because you don't want to encourage them, but there's nothing funnier.
It's pretty damn good. Yeah.
Especially when they use it so perfectly. Like for a kid to look at an adult and say, "What the fuck?" That is so perfect.
New context.
With all due respect, what the fuck, Mrs. Reynolds?
Yeah,
remember?
It was very polite.
Yeah.
She had her manners.
Mrs. Reynolds.
Like, you got to meet me halfway, Mrs. Reynolds. This is some bullshit. What the fuck?
Let me ask you guys, Sarah and Bobbie, are you raising your kids differently than you were raised by your parents? Or are there times where, man, I never thought I'd be like my parents and say this or do this, but here I go?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone you can check first?
I would say I'm raising mine different, only because I grew up, in Toledo in the 80s and 90s, and it was rough. And so, my mom didn't have a lot of patience. And so I'm raising my kids much differently. My kids got a lot more opinions. They got a lot more lip. You know what I mean? I give them a little leeway to kind of have back and forth.
But you allow them to have a little bit more lip, because when we were growing up, lip was not in the equation. No, not at all. No, stick and whip was more in the equation than lip. Yeah. If I remember correctly. So you actually give your children
as long as they're not being disrespectful. Like I try to allow them to have their like we're eating this. This is what we're eating this for dinner. Well, I don't want that. Well, that's what we're eating. I'm sorry, you can have nothing, or you can eat this. Eat this or starve. Which one you want to do? And then so well, can I have this? When I was a kid, it wasn't can I have this? This is dinner and that's it. But now, I really don't care. When I was a kid, I kind of felt like my mama took stuff personally. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you tripping over? You know what I mean? So I try to not be so much on them about that. Try to let them have a little room to be individuals and not just beat them over the head all the time with what I think is right.
And do you ever think that that's going to come back and?
Oh, I'm sure I'm doing a terrible job. I'm sure I'm raising them wrong. I'm sure it's wrong. I'm sure everything I'm doing is just completely wrong. They're going to be mass murderers and serial killers. I know they are.
Sarah, you heaved a heavy sigh when I brought up that particular topic. So what
I don't know. I feel like you're just always trying to do the right thing. And I feel like more so as an adult, you're like, I'm going down the right path. I know stuff. And then you get smacked upside the head and you're like, oh, I don't know anything. I know more than my children, which is good. But I don't know. My parents were pretty chill and I feel like they were always pretty respectful, and I never felt like I couldn't ask them questions about anything. Not that I asked them questions about everything, but they were pretty, and they're conservative, which I think is a weird. I don't know if that's always the case, but am I judging? I don't know. But my fear is that I'm going to raise like an Alex P. Keaton that's like obsessed with Ronald Reagan. And then I'm going to be like, I can't talk to you. You're going to have to leave the house and come back in. I don't know. That's always my fear. I'm like, are they going to be in cults? Yeah. Yeah.
Are they going to be in a cult? Are they going to be in a cult?
Please don't. Right. What am I going to do? I'm just going to have to like, raise hell with somebody.
Yeah. When you look back on your childhoods, are there any things that come to mind that you did that made your parents crazy? Yeah.
Sarah?
What's that?
I was a pretty good kid. I was very I would say the only thing that would get me in trouble was my sassiness. I was always very sassy and had a smart mouth. But I knew when to check it for the most part. But my brother was the one always getting in trouble. So I learned from all of his mistakes to not do that.
So he was the older brother?
Yeah, he is 3.5 years older than I am.
That's about the same difference between my sister and myself. Yeah. And yeah, but my sister always refers to me in respects to my mother, because my mom was a single mom, raising kids in the 70s, and my sister always refers to me as the prince. The prince can do no wrong. Because my sister and my mother have hardly ever been separated over the entire course of their lives. They've moved from state to state, and my sister's always been in my mother's shadow. I pulled away from it, but whenever the prince comes home to rest, and that couldn't be further from the truth, to be perfectly honest with you. But once again, it's all perception. Yeah. And I don't know if my sister learned from my mistakes, because I made a shitload of them and still continue to do so. But
I was going to say, you did make mistakes.
Yeah.
Come on now.
You had that $400 bottle of alcohol.
Still make mistakes. But do you recall certain things? I don't know why this question popped up in my head. At any point in the course of your childhoods, did you ever say to your parents, threaten as smaller children to run away? Did you ever say, I'm out of here, I'm going to run away from home?
I never threatened. I was always up here, but I never said it out loud, because I'd be afraid my mom be like, go ahead, leave. Oh, please. You think you're doing me a favor by being here? Get your little scrawny ass. You ain't bringing in no money. Get out. My mom was a gangster. My mom, there wasn't no soft shit with her. She was a gang member. So and I talk to her about it to this day. I say, Mama, why were you so hard on us? She got 4 kids, 3 of them boys, and the youngest is a girl, and we all spread apart as far as years. Like, it's a 6-year difference between me and my little brother and my big brother. You know what I'm saying? And her excuse was, I was raising boys. I had to be tough on y'all. I was raising boys. And I get it, but, hug me sometimes. You know what I mean?
Hug me sometimes? Really?
I'm exaggerating now. I'm exaggerating.
I don't think so. I don't think so. In all humor, there is truth. So you're telling me, Bobbie Dodds, that you could have used a few more hugs when you were growing up?
No, my mom was real affectionate and real loving. But my pops wasn't, but I didn't live with him. He wasn't around all like that. But my mom was real, even to this day, she still baby voices me and shit like that, So my mom was real affectionate. She was just occupied. Like it was a war on drugs. She had 4 kids. So she had 4 kids, and she was running the streets. You know what I mean? So she was doing her thing. You know what I mean? So she really couldn't be bothered. But she was cool. She was all right.
Yeah. So in your head you said, I'm gonna run away, but you never did. And Sarah, it never crossed your mind to. You never had any
too lazy to follow through with running away. I would think about it in my brain like Bobbie, and I'd be like, I do that, I have to do all this other stuff. So I would just like live vicariously through like Full House or Family Matters when somebody would run away. I was like, yeah,
There's a lot of
that's what
running away
and
from Full
once
House
again,
episodes.
different time frames. I'm way older than both of you. So when I was six years old or 7 years old, I actually said I was going to run away. And even at 6 and 7 years of age, I had a very cinematic idea of what running away would be. I actually, God, I hate to admit this. I actually got a stick.
You did not.
I did. I actually got a stick from the backyard and found like a pillowcase or
and tied it. Oh my God! Like a little hobo.
Headed to the train track.
my
like
shit up.
Spanky. He's like Spanky going
Like a little 8-year-old hobo.
Spanky. Alfalfa.
I wrapped that shit. I think I actually chose a single bed fitted sheet because even then, like, well, this is a fitted sheet. I can actually fold this in and tie it to the stick. And I actually tied it to pack my shit, put it on a stick. And the night that I chose to leave home was much like tonight in Central Ohio, there was tornado warnings. This is in the suburbs of Chicago. There were tornado warnings. And I remember looking out the window and seeing the tree in the front yard being bent over on its side from the severe winds. And everything was like, okay, well, maybe I'm not picking the best night. But tomorrow, this sheet is.
Ain't no stopping me tomorrow. I'm gone. Ain't no stopping me tomorrow. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I'll find that stick again.
Right. I used to try to run away on bullshit. What do you mean I can't go to the park? I ran away. You know what I'm saying? It was never nothing serious. Just on some bullshit. Some dumb shit.
Man, I got my stick and my sheet and I was gone.
A sandwich and a handkerchief.
I'd be a different man today if it wasn't for that tornado.
I have a crazy story that I think of time to time from my childhood. But it's not crazy. It's just like a kid being a kid. My parents were very into like going to antique stores, which bored the shit out of me. And my parents had this like little, it was like a porcelain bowl. And when I asked them, I was like, what's that for? And my mom, they had bought it, we had it at our house. And my mom was like, well, back in the olden days, this was actually like like this is what you would use the bathroom in. And I was like, oh, but they would keep like magazines and newspapers in it. We had one bathroom in my house growing up, and my mom had just mopped the floor, and she was always like, if I mop the floor, don't run into it until it's dry. And it takes like 15 minutes to dry. That as a kid, 15 minutes is like 3 hours. And I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. So I went downstairs to my dad's office where the bowl was. It was like our back porch. I took it out and I peed in it.
Yes.
I peed in the bowl,
Nice.
which I feel like was me retaining historical knowledge from
Yeah.
my parents. I was like, I learned a lesson.
It's an
And then my
heirloom.
mom was like, yeah, exactly. And I guess I just left it there. She was like, what'd you do? I was like, she said it was to use it to pee in, and I had to pee.
Somebody
Yeah.
discovered it later. Right.
I find that to be a beautiful story about your childhood.
I'm gonna put it in the book.
Anything that's speaking of books, yeah. Speaking of books, it was actually one of my questions. So that's a very unintentional segue, Sarah Boosh. Is there any books that you remember from your childhood that you actually share with your children now? Something that was fond and reminiscent of your childhood that still exists today that you have carried on and have shared with the kids over the years? Or anything from your child, from the fact that you had that is still around today. Not necessarily a book or anything for them. Could be a game, could be a book,
1,000.
whatever the case might be.
Oh my gosh.
The first thing I introduced to my kid that I loved as a kid myself was Go Dog Go. I don't know if you remember that book.
Yes,
it's not a doctor.
we have
Yeah,
it
that's
It was-
real, man. As a kid, that was one of my favorite books. And I was walking through Walmart.
It was a fake Dr. Seuss book. It made
Yeah,
they
it
made
wasn't,
you think
yeah.
it was
Faux
Dr.
Seuss?
Seuss book.
Yeah,
But it
well,
wasn't.
what it wasn't. Yeah, yeah.
P.D.
Yes,
Easton.
yes.
Say it again, Sarah. Who was it?
I think it was P.D. Easton or
Something like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
We used to listen to it like when we were learning to read in first grade. We listened to that on tape, and I can remember
Yeah.
every time I see that book, like listening to it
Yeah,
in school.
me too. I used to love that book, and I like the for whatever reason the illustration reminds me of though back then too. You know what I'm saying? It takes me back. But now
Right.
I got my kids turned on the video games. Like they love video games. Because I love video games growing up. So yeah, that's probably what I've introduced them to. And again, just more ruining of lives I'm doing over here. Just video games and just letting them have opinions and shit. It's crazy what I'm doing over here.
No, man, you don't know that.
They're going to college for esports, man. They'll be set. They'll be all
You're
right.
right. They got scholarships for esports now. It's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Go dog go, man. Yeah, and to tell you how old that book is, Go Dog Go. I remember when I was a kid. So
You
That-
almost
that-
ran away with it.
Was that in the hobo sack? Was that in the hobo six pack?
I got go later.
No, this is how old I am.
Down.
I remember when
With
Go Dog
Boxcar
Go.
Willie.
I remember when Go Dog Go was a new release. That's how old I am. Sarah, you recall anything from your childhood that maybe you're still sharing with your kids today, from anything, or was nothing actually besides the bowl you peed in?
I know. I can't wait to share that with them. No, I said it before, but Ghostbusters. My brother and I watched Ghostbusters all the time. He loved the cartoon, and he was he was like my older brother, so I loved everything that he did. And it's funny because when my son really got into Ghostbusters, we were, talking to Uncle Thomas, and he goes, I still have all my toys. So my parents had the toys at their house, and they brought it over so my kids could play with it. So my kids are like playing with his toys from the 80s, and my son loves it. And my husband, Ghostbusters I love, but like for a child, it's a lot of talking and like dry Bill Murray humor. So the fact that they just sit there like glued to it and love it, it's so funny, like how that like captures kids, and they know the song, and they're running around with my brother's like plastic proton pack.
And
That
that's
opening
the
scene in the
chemicals
library is scary. With the library scene,
It's terrifying.
yeah.
And the dogs, they love it. They love the slime.
And as they
All
get
of it.
older, as 6 and 7 turns to 9 and 11 and 8 and 12, do you have plans? Do you know, like when your 2 and 3-year-old get to be 5 and 6, are there things that you're thinking about, like I can't wait to introduce them to this, or are you just literally taking it day by freaking day?
I can't wait to show them Breaking Bad one day. Here's a story about a man making meth children. Enjoy.
Enjoy.
He's a teacher. It's okay.
Bobbie, is there anything you're saying like they ain't ready yet, but when they are, I'm gonna show them this?
I can't think of nothing. Something I'd want to show them. The only thing I'd probably think of that I want them to see would probably like some old hood classics like Friday or Boys in the Hood or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
And how do you think they'll react to that? How do you think they'll react to that? How do you
It'd
think
be
they'll react?
terrifying. It'd be terrifying. They live this old white picket fence life and everything. I'm from the streets, Dino. I'm from the streets. And Boys in the Hood or Friday would terrify they have last. Be crying and shit.
Friday. Sorry.
There you go. And there's gonna be like a time when you like want to show them, and then your like wife's gonna come down in the middle of watching it. Oh, you're showing them this? They're like 9, just a little too early.
Oh man, my youngest one gets me in trouble. I like listening to Lil Wayne, the rapper, and he cusses a lot. So my wife don't like me listening to it around the kids. And I was singing the song. And I was singing a song. You know how you singing a song you don't really recognize as you singing the song? Well, it's one of his songs, and the chorus goes, you cannot break down what can be broken. From upstairs, my little daughter yells out, G-Code! That was because that's what he said in the song next. And my wife just looks right at me. I was like, oh shit.
Oh man.
Busted.
Yeah, busted. So absolutely, I gotta watch myself.
I want to share a couple of things. A lot of people are tuning in tonight. Scott D. Morris, I think it's his first time tuning in, and he apparently is making the drink. Jesse, he says, "Oh dang, this
He
drink
wants
is
to share the Hobbit.
yeah." He loves the drink, And for those of you who are joining us just now, Johnny, get another video ready to go here in just a second, if you could, please, because I want to remind people why we're here this evening. We are here tonight for A Kid Again, a magnificent local charity right here in Columbus, Ohio, which helps families who are caring for a child who has a life-threatening illness that has some of these great moments that we've been sharing tonight actually taken away from them over the course of their childhood because they're sick and they're battling an illness. So A Kid Again gives that kid and their families a chance to have a day of normalcy with an event that I've read some of their research. The positive effects of these days is amazing. It's in the 90th percentile, how it changes the demeanor of the family and the kid involved, just to have that little moment of normalcy in their lives. So if you can donate 35, as a kid, and be a kid again.
Yeah.
We all agree that a kid should be a kid as long as they can freaking be a kid. God bless them. I mean, some people, we're all, there's no need to grow up so fast. Some of us have had life experiences, Bobbie, I know you have, and I have as well, where we had to grow up quick, and you always want life to be better for your children. And that's why I asked some of the questions I have this evening. What are you doing differently? What are you doing the same? Because we as adults, unconsciously or consciously, always want to try to make and strive for our kids' lives to be that much better. So if you can donate $35 for a kid or $130 for an entire family to experience something with A Kid Again, please do so. And we're doing this tonight because the big give is going on as well. And they are going to take their $1.5 million and amplify as many donations for nonprofit organizations as they can.
Do that tonight, but the big give goes all the way till 11 a.m. tomorrow. So if you're watching this live, you got until 11 a.m. to do that. But why wait? Call now.
For those of you who are just thinking this is just a regular whiskey business podcast, we tried to keep it that way as far as the fun and the humor and the drinking and the cocktails. But we are here for a very special reason tonight. And here's a little video to remind you why.
Kid Again has taken a lot of weight off of our shoulders. I am eternally grateful.
Some things can't be cured, some things can't be fixed. And this organization gives families the opportunity to have fun. And I think sometimes that's overlooked.
Yeah, I love that. Giving illness a timeout. So yeah, if you can help with your donations tonight to help give illness a timeout for those families and those kids who are having some of those moments in their childhood taken away from them because of their illness, please do so this evening. By all means, do that. As we start to slowly wrap things up this evening, because we're getting close to that time on our see, Hansberry, you should be very proud of me. I'm watching the clock.
Doing good.
I'm watching the clock like a champ. Is there any parting thoughts that any of our guests would have as we've gone through a lot of stuff to get here tonight? I'm glad that tonight has been a little respite, if you will, from everything. It seems like I don't care who you talk to on any given day, it's been taxing. Whether you have kids or you don't have kids, whether you got 2 dogs, Jesse, and a life that's been affected by the coronavirus, we've all had to deal with stuff that maybe our parents didn't deal with, but they probably dealt with something similar in the course of our childhoods that, much like our kids, maybe not be completely aware of what's going on, not completely, like somewhat aware. I asked Hansberry the other day on the last podcast, are your kids aware of what's going on? And he said that he explained it to them as best he could for a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. So it's nice that we had this moment just to laugh and talk about a lot of things. But as we depart, if there's anything personal or thoughtful that you'd like to share on the way out that we might not have gotten to, by all means, this is your chance to do so. So have at it. Starting with the Sarah. You're smiling like you got something on your mind already.
I just thought, damn, what a heavy question to ask.
And go.
It is. And go. Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing that I've learned the most with parenting is that it's important to take mental breaks for yourself, and it's okay. I don't know. It's okay to feel all the emotions. It's okay to feel guilty. It's okay to feel happy that you had a break from them. You know, I think sometimes you like that parent guilt sets in and you're like, I should never feel this. I should want to be with my kids 24/7. And that's not the fucking truth. Because, and the thing is that they need a break from you too. You know, because it's sometimes, especially when they're small, you're always on the defense. You're like, I'm teaching you, or you have to correct them, you know, or my children correct me. As you all know, my son told me to stop talking, which was a piece of advice I should take.
And
But,
he said it so sincerely and succinctly.
He did. He said it as a matter of fact. But yeah, I would say it's, yeah, just don't feel guilty. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned as a parent is that, if you feel guilty, it's a totally normal thing to feel.
And it'd be easy to feel guilty right now. I mean, that seems to be the emotion that's right there, to feel guilty about everything, that you're not doing enough, that you did too little, or that you feel helpless, that you can't do what you want to do at these moments. So I totally get that. That's great advice, Sarah. Great advice. Bobbie, what do you think?
I just agree with everything Sarah said. You got to be easy on yourself and recognize the children are resilient. Also, man, one thing with me as far as parenting goes, I recognize that when I was a kid, nobody ever really talked to me. Like, it was always, I got to take care of you, so just sit down and shut up and let me take care of you. It was never like nobody really like tried to talk to me and figure out kind of what was going on with me up here. So the best thing that I try to do, instead of like just like directing and bossing my kids around and yelling at them, and you know, like my mommy and my dad used to do me, I try to like talk to them and try to like explain to them why we do things this way, why we're not doing this, why we're not doing that. And that takes some patience, but I feel like I would have appreciated that kind of relationship with an adult when I was a kid, and I kind of didn't have that. So that's probably the best, the most influential thing I've taken from my childhood and implemented it into my kids' childhood is treat them kind of like tiny adults and have conversations with them and let them know it's not just do this because I'm saying it, but here is why we as human beings we behave this way in society. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's beautiful.
But by all means, even though you just got the 2 dogs and not the 2 kids, if you got thoughts on you know, I mean,
well,
everything in this last few months has affected you as well. I mean, you're in the service industry and you deal with people on a regular basis.
Dino, show your $400 bottle of alcohol again.
That was a gift. That was a gift.
Sarah, I'm so glad you're calling him out on that. Thank you very much.
I really only did it.
It'll make him feel better, Dino. Come on.
Punish Hansberry and Whitney to show him, like, look,
he picked the week we're not there again.
Every time we're not there, he picks the best. I don't understand.
No, to answer your question, you know, like my wife and I, we hope to have kids and in the future. So it's been fun hearing these stories. You guys have also scared the shit out of me.
Don't do it.
But it's fun. I have 3 nephews who are 9, 7, and 5, so I get a lot of joy being around those guys. But on a serious note, I'm super happy to have been a part of this. The children and the parents and the families who are a part of A Kid Again, truly inspirational to me, and I'm so happy to have been able to lend what I do to maybe, you know, give a little bit of enjoyment, maybe a cocktail that the parents can enjoy and everybody who's watching can enjoy all summer long. So thanks for having me and thanks for watching, everybody. Yeah.
Are you kidding me, Jesse? Yeah, man. Jesse, you're my go-to, brother. You're my go-to every time. And the fact that you skipped your regular broadcast tonight to do this means a lot to me. So thank you, Jesse.
Wouldn't have missed it, man. Wouldn't have missed it, brother.
Thank you to again to Sarah Miller, who approached us about doing this podcast this evening. And
Big up to Sarah. I love you, Sarah. What's up, Sarah?
They're great.
To be a part of this. We hope that in some small way we contributed to, if not the donations, because I know money's tight for everybody right now, but if not the donations, then maybe the awareness of a kid again. Mm-hmm. So at some point, when you are able to share a donation of some sort, you'll think about a kid again, and maybe you'll do it for your kids that are healthy. You know, God bless them; they're healthy, and you'll do it for other families that maybe not be in the same position that you're in. But in closing, I just want to say that tonight has been it's been kind of a nice little break from everything that's been going on in the world, all the craziness, and the fact that it's about kids. You know, when we were kids and currently our kids as well. And Jesse, you just mentioned it when you said we're looking to have children in the future. And the first thing that popped into my head was the late, great Whitney Houston. You know, I believe that children are our future, you know, and that's very true. Teach them and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they can.
I don't know
if you're being serious or not right now.
Can I say something? Can I say something? Yeah. Bobbie Brown did the theme song for Ghostbusters 2. And it's very relevant to everything that's happening right now. So if you need something fun to listen to that like makes you feel like you're gonna take everything on, listen to it.
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold.
But I was totally serious.
Yes. Watch the video.
Whitney Houston song came to mind. It came to mind. Children are the future. So, you know.
That is very true.
It is true.
It's our job not to screw it up.
And that's a heavy burden, man.
I know. Good luck.
That's a life.
That's why we drink.
That's a life right here. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of, I also think like there's a lot of kindness out there. So just, there's so much shit that gets shattered all over social media. Find the good out there. Like Mr. Rogers said, there's always good people out there doing great things. And I think that is such an important thing to focus on. And be kind to each other, man.
Yeah, by all means,
it's a tough world out there.
I can't believe you thought for a moment that I'd be joking about that at one point. I know that everybody thinks the comedians are always waiting for the big laugh or the big joke, but
I've known you for 10 years. I've never heard you talk about Whitney Houston once.
Well, you know, because I had to play it on Sunday 95 forever and ad nauseum. But
oh yeah, where you guys used to play Celine Dion.
Yeah. And up next.
But now, you know, when I think about it, yeah, man. I mean, the kids are watching and
let them lead the way.
Lead the way. Teach them all the beauty.
I don't know the words.
That's why I'm doing like, where's the
let the children laugh. Remember how it used to be. And I would probably change that last lyric because how it used to be ain't cutting it anymore. How it has to be moving forward is what we got to think about. So
all I can picture is Dino running away as a child with the stick over his shoulder singing Whitney Houston.
No, whistling Whitney Houston.
With a copy of Go Dog Go in the sack, too. A copy of Go Dog Go.
Let the children
stick it out way. Yeah, poking somebody in the eye with me and my fitted sheet. That is the imagery. But we hope we left you with a more positive message overall. I want to thank my guest once again, the amazing, show them up close there if you could, John Whitney, Jesse Hubbard, bartender, mixologist. I don't know what you like to be called anymore. What do you like to be called? Cool,
Call me
good.
whatever you want, man.
Cocktail house
well,
party on Instagram.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. Tell us about that real quick. Check that out, or people should check that out on Instagram. Your show that you do every week.
Yeah, I've been doing it every Wednesday just while we've had the social distancing quarantine thing going on. All the bars have been closed. 10 episodes in. Probably going to do a couple more before I have to go back to work. But every Wednesday at 7 p.m., with the exception of today, I'm going to be releasing a pre-recorded episode a little bit later this evening on Insta. So talk with bartenders. We hang out, have a couple cocktails. They make one. We have some laughs. Just kind of a good time. Real casual.
And you're also working on a
I
book.
love that.
You're also working on a book.
Yeah, I am working on a book that combines my love of music, 20 of my favorite albums with 20 original cocktails that I created for those albums. I
That's
hope
cool.
to have it out this summer, TBD. Just depends on how everything goes.
All right. We look forward to that. Jesse, my friend, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Bobbie
man.
Dodds, Comedians on South High, is back and recording in the round table once again. A brilliant, funny podcast that everybody should listen to. How's that? Has it been nice to get back to that?
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been real fun, man. Comedians on South High. We're there every Thursday. I think they drop every Monday. It was just fun to get back in the studio with those guys. Me, myself, Jason Banks, Kenny Mock, Jared Belinsky.
I love Kenny Mock.
Yeah, Kenny Mock is one of my favorite
He's a
people in the whole wide world. Very
so
kind,
funny.
very funny dude. Yeah. So we have a lot of fun every week. So we'll be there tomorrow. So I can't wait to get back to my homeboys.
That's good. Well, to give them my love and
Absolutely.
on South High is, if you're looking for just something spontaneously funny, to hear three funny gentlemen just talk and make you laugh. Comedians on South High is definitely something you should check out. Sarah Boosh, what do you got going on? What should you listen to? I know that you've been popping up online as well with a lot of shows.
I think this is my last one for a while. So sometimes I do stuff with #comedy. I'm also in a show, Ladies Who Lounge, which it's like a kind of like an old Rat Pack all female show. It's very silly. So we're trying to schedule to do one of those sometime soon, and just trying to stay sane. I don't know. Maybe I should start a podcast. I like talking to people.
Yeah, well, we really
It's fun.
appreciate you being
I know
with
a
us
guy.
tonight. And yeah, we know some
I know a guy.
we appreciate
A couple
being
of
here.
guys.
all of you
Well,
guys.
thanks for having us.
Yes.
No, I
Yeah, man,
appreciate
it's
you
cool.
guys.
This has been
Yeah.
fun.
I also want to thank Greg Hansberry on my right from the audio side.
Let me hit the business.
Mabel, Mabel picked the album
Oh,
tonight.
yeah.
Behind you. Yeah, don't forget that the album. It's always been a different album. We've done remote broadcasting.
Frozen 2.
Frozen 2,
Not as
everybody.
good as
Sweet.
Frozen 1.
Because of the
But
kid.
it still
Man, that
made
movie
$1
sucks.
billion.
Frozen 2
the
sucks.
remix.
One.
Frozen 2 sucks.
The songs and
And Toy
stuff.
Story 4 sucks too. Pick it up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Damn. Those
No.
are fighting words. Thank you. If you're new to Whiskey Business, thank you. And subscribe on your favorite podcasting app. We appreciate you checking us out. If you are a Whiskey Business regular, thank you again for joining us. And please share this, because not only do we want people to check out our podcast, but this one actually we're doing some good for a kid again. And for once, we actually have something that I could talk to my mom about. So I'm excited. Mom, guess what we did last night? Something good for once.
good.
Follow us here if you're watching us on Facebook. Thank you. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Subscribe and click on the bell for the notifications whenever we have something new pop up. It'll just go ahead and go right there. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Disney Plus. WhiskeyBusinessPodcast.com is where you can find everything. And that's it. Thank you, guys.
I appreciate it. And
Cheers.
of course, thank you, and thank you to John Whitney on the video side of things, who's at Mission Control, put up all the great videos tonight, and the great
There's a correction, Dino.
Uh-oh.
Correction. Earlier you said that you could donate till 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Oh, I think I said
Sarah
that.
says 6 p.m. tomorrow night.
Great.
Oh.
6.
So
Right.
you can donate till 6 p.m. tomorrow night.
There you
But
go.
yeah, I'm always,
Many thanks
I'm
to
always
give.
glad to be here. Always glad to be here.
Thanks to John Whitney, who's at Mission Control, put up the great videos tonight. Also responsible for those of you who actually tuned in on time for the amazing new opening we have for Whiskey Business. And also thanks to Dave Powers, who generously donated that score hanging out at the lounge, our new theme music for the podcast as well. So shout outs to both of them. I'm almost afraid to put it up there because I'm going to get more shit. The guest bottle, because we always have one. The
Wow,
100,
humble brag.
the 135th bottle, I might add, on Whiskey Business. We have been through 100 bottles.
Whitney
On this
Houston's favorite bottle of rye.
This whole thing, this is when I drink. I don't care what I drink.
Wait, hold on. What's Jesse saying? What'd you say, Jesse?
Pour a couple ounces out in your porch for me, Dino. I'll be over a couple hours to get it.
Come
No.
back.
The mud.
An ounce and a half.
No. And I will pour you 2 ounces in honor of Sarah Boosh because she hates anything with a half in it. So
There you go.
I can't do
that
math.
could mean
What did
so
they
much.
start doing quarters?
Yeah. No, you come over here
Oh,
and drink it in
yeah.
person, God. So thanks to everybody. Thank you again to A Kid Again for allowing us to be a vehicle this evening for you to help raise some money. You've got till 6 p.m. tomorrow to make a donation and have it amplified by the Big Give. You've got the link down there. On behalf of everybody involved in Whiskey Business, my name is Dino Tripodis. Until the far more affordable next bottle. See ya.
God.